I was standing in the rain, barefoot, holding my wedding ring like it was some kind of answer key to a test I'd already failed. My phone was dead, my car was gone, and my husband? He'd left with nothing but a duffel bag and a silence so loud it echoed in every room of our house. He found out. Somehow, he found out everything. And instead of yelling or crying or even slamming a single door, he just vanished. Took the damn dog, too. No note. No text. Just gone. I've spent the last 17 days trying to rewind time, trying to piece together the moment everything flipped. And the worst part? Nobody will tell me where he went. Not his sister. Not our friends. Not even his mother. They're all looking at me like I'm some ticking bomb they were too close to when it went off. And maybe I am. But even bombs have triggers. And I swear, if I find out who pulled his, I'm not sure what I'll do. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're watching this alone. You're going to want to hear every brutal, heartbreaking second of it. I remember the exact second I knew he was gone. Not physically. Emotionally. Mentally. Spiritually, even. We were in the kitchen. I was slicing limes for tacos. He was scrolling through Spotify like always, pretending to pick a playlist but really just landing on the same 2007 indie album he always played when he was thinking too much. And I said something. Something stupid. Like, "You're awfully quiet today." And he looked up at me like I was a stranger. Not angry. Not sad. Just, like someone had replaced his memories of me with static. It would be 3 more days before he actually left. But that was the moment I lost him. His name is Caleb. And for 5 years, I thought he was mine. We met at a mutual friend's game night, the kind where everyone's drinking boxed wine and pretending Cards Against Humanity is still edgy. He was quiet. Observant. Hands folded in his lap like he was trying not to take up too much space. I was the opposite, loud, flirty, a little too proud of my therapist's phone number. We fell fast. Lived together within 6 months. Married within 2 years. Everyone said we were weirdly balanced. I was the chaos. He was the calm. I was the storyteller. He was the editor. But what they didn't know was that balance like that only works until someone gets tired of doing all the forgiving. The cheating didn't start like people think it does. It wasn't some passionate affair or whirlwind attraction. It wasn't even about sex. It started as a message. A joke, really. An old college acquaintance, Liam, responded to a story I posted. "You still make grilled cheese look romantic," he wrote. I should have ignored it. I know that. But I didn't. I replied, "Only if the cheese pulls just right." It was harmless. At first. 1 message turned into 2. Then 10. Then he started calling me at night when Caleb worked late. I told myself it was just friendship. Just validation. Just words. Until it wasn't. The first time we met up, I wore my guilt like perfume. Subtle, but noticeable. I kept thinking, if someone sees us together, what lie will I tell? But nobody did. Not that night. So I did it again. And again. The truth is, it never felt like love. Not with Liam. It felt like revenge. Revenge on a man who loved me too quietly, who forgot anniversaries, who always put saving for the future above living in the moment. I told myself Caleb had withdrawn first. That I was just reacting to what I was missing. But deep down, I knew better. I wasn't reacting. I was detonating. Caleb never confronted me. Not once. He'd ask little things, casually. Who's Liam? Or, why does your phone never leave your hand anymore? But there was no jealousy in his voice. Just curiosity. Like he was trying to solve a puzzle he didn't want to be right about. Then one morning, I woke up and he was just different. He made breakfast. French toast. My favorite. He kissed me on the forehead and said, "You have beautiful hands." So randomly. So softly. I didn't realize it was a goodbye. The day he left, I didn't even see him go. I'd gone to the store. Less than an hour. Came back to an apartment that felt wrong. Like it had been reset to factory settings. His clothes? Gone. Laptop? Gone. The dog bed? Empty. Even his toothbrush was missing. No note. No message. Just silence so sharp it made my ears ring. I called him, straight to voicemail. Texted, not delivered. Opened Instagram, blocked. Facebook? Same. It was like he'd scrubbed me out of his life before I even knew he'd started. For days, I couldn't function. I kept replaying every second of our last conversation, looking for the warning sign. But there wasn't one. That's what killed me. He left so cleanly. No drama. No screaming. Just erasure. It took me 3 days to realize he'd only taken what was his. His shoes. His childhood photos. The cheap black lamp he'd bought in college. Everything else, the couch, the TV, the kitchen mixer we'd saved up for, stayed. Like he didn't want our things. Just the pieces of him I hadn't touched. Our mutual friends went quiet, too. First, it was slow. "Hey, just checking in," type texts. Then it turned to whispers. "Are you okay?" with pity in their eyes. But the questions always led there. "Did you two fight? Was there someone else?" I lied. Of course I lied. I said I had no idea what happened. That we were fine. That he had been distant. That he had changed. I didn't realize at the time, Caleb had already told them. Not loudly. Not vindicatively. Just enough. Just honestly enough. I found out the truth in the worst way. One night, my best friend Maisie came over with takeout and red wine. She didn't say much at first. Just handed me the food and said, "You look like hell." I laughed. Kind of. Then she said, "Why didn't you just tell me about Liam?" My blood went cold. She knew. "Caleb told you?" She shook her head. No. He didn't need to. He sent me screenshots. I felt like the walls were closing in. My ears buzzed. My fingers went numb. Maisie went on, "He didn't want people to hate you. He just wanted to explain why he left." I couldn't breathe. And that's when everything started falling apart for real. The sympathy stopped. The judgment began. People I thought were mine started siding with him. Friends I introduced Caleb to chose him over me. And Liam? He ghosted me. Of course he did. Said the emotional fallout was too much. Men like him never clean up the mess. I tried to rewrite the narrative. I told anyone who'd listen that Caleb had neglected me. That I had needs. That it was a moment of weakness. Some people bought it. Most didn't. I became the cheater. Not even a name anymore. Just a warning. The irony? I didn't even want Caleb back at that point. I just couldn't stand that he got to be the one who walked away. And I was the one still standing in the rubble, crying, apologizing to empty rooms, and wondering how the hell a single decision had dismantled everything. I didn't plan to find him. I swear. I wasn't stalking his friends' Instagram stories for clues. I wasn't tracking check-ins like some obsessed ex. Not that day, anyway. But then it happened. I was mindlessly scrolling through an old college friend's story, a brunch boomerang, a slow pan of some trendy coffee shop, and there he was. In the background. Sitting by the window, reading a paperback, smiling. Smiling. While I was still skipping meals and crying in the shower, he was reading some Hemingway-looking nonsense and sipping oat milk lattes like he wasn't the main character in the collapse of my entire life. I zoomed in, just to be sure. But I didn't need to. I would have recognized that profile anywhere. The soft scruff. The navy pea coat I bought him for Christmas. His stupid, perfect posture. Caleb. The next morning, I was parked across the street from that same coffee shop by 7:50 a.m. It opened at 8. I hadn't slept. I hadn't eaten. I'd picked at my mascara so much I had red streaks under both eyes. At exactly 8:07, he walked up the block. Coffee. Black jeans. That same coat. And when he opened the door, I swear I felt the air leave the city. I followed him in 2 minutes later, pretending to check my phone, pretending I wasn't about to blow up both our lives, again. He didn't look up until I was standing right at his table. Caleb. He blinked once. No shock. No flinch. Like he'd expected me. Hi, Becca. My name in his voice again, flat, unbothered. That was worse than shouting. Worse than rage. He didn't even sound hurt anymore. Just done. You just left, I said. My voice cracked halfway through. No explanation, no goodbye. He looked around at the people near us, eyes darting toward the barista. Do you want to sit? He asked. Or make a scene? I sat. I deserved something, I said, choking on the words. A fight. A conversation. You didn't even give me that. He took a long sip from his mug. Then calmly, you got more than you earned, Becca. I flinched. You cheated, he continued, and then lied. Over and over. You made me feel crazy for suspecting anything. I didn't mean. You did. Every day you covered it up. Every time you looked me in the eye and said nothing was wrong. That was a choice. Lots of choices. His voice wasn't loud. But every syllable hit like a hammer. I tried the script I'd rehearsed 100 times. We were falling apart. I felt invisible. You stopped touching me. You stopped seeing me. He shook his head. So you found someone who did. And instead of talking to me, you set fire to what we built. I wanted him to cry. To scream. To show me that I still mattered enough to hurt. Instead, he stirred his coffee. You told people, I snapped. You showed them those messages. I didn't tell people, he said quietly. I told the truth. When people asked me why I left, I answered. But now everyone hates me. He raised his eyebrows. And whose fault is that? I reached for his hand. He moved it. Do you love her? I blurted. That stopped him. What? The girl from the bookshop. The one I saw in your story. Are you with her now? His face darkened. That's none of your business. So that's a yes. He stood, gathering his things. No, Caleb, please, just talk to me. Let me explain everything. He looked me dead in the eyes. There's nothing to explain, Becca. You made your choice. I just refused to pretend it didn't matter. The barista appeared, gently placing a hand on his arm. Everything okay, sir? He nodded. Yeah. I was just leaving. To me, quietly, don't come here again. And just like that, he was gone. Again. That night, I stared at the ceiling until my eyes burned. I'd gotten what I wanted. Closure. Answers. A conversation. And still, it wasn't enough. Because nothing could reverse what I'd done. Nothing could make him forget the version of me that lied to his face for 2 months while he was planning anniversary dinners and researching puppy food for the rescue we were going to adopt. Days passed. Then a week. Then one morning, I got a message. From her. The girl from the bookshop. The one I'd seen him with. The one I'd just asked about. Her name was Jess. She messaged me from an unlisted profile. We need to talk. Alone. Please. My first instinct was to block her. But something stopped me. Curiosity? Guilt? Jealousy? I typed back, tomorrow. 2 p.m. corner booth at Alma's. She replied almost instantly, see you then. And suddenly, the guilt I thought I'd burned down came roaring back like it never left. She walked in like she wasn't nervous. That was the first thing I noticed. No hesitation. No scanning the room for exits. Just calm steps and a soft smile as she slid into the booth across from me like we were old friends catching up. Jess. I hated how pretty she was. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just quietly radiant. The kind of pretty you notice more the longer you look. Comfortable in her own skin. A calm I used to fake and never quite mastered. Becca, she said, wrapping her hands around a chipped ceramic mug. Thank you for meeting me. I shouldn't have come. I know. She didn't blink. Just sat there, letting the silence grow heavy between us until I had to break it. Does Caleb know you're here? No. She sipped her tea. And I'd like to keep it that way. I stared at her, trying to read the intention behind this meeting. Then why are you here? Jess tilted her head. To ask you something. I waited. To ask why. The word hit like a slap. Why what? Why you cheated. I almost laughed. Bitter, defensive. Why does it matter? She didn't flinch. Because I see the way it haunts him. And I need to understand the shape of the wound you left behind. My stomach turned. I wanted to scream at her. That it wasn't her business. That she didn't know us. That she didn't deserve the truth. But the worst part was, she did. She knew the version of Caleb who came after me. The man rebuilt from wreckage. And she still chose him. I looked away. I felt like I didn't matter anymore. Jess nodded, quiet. Go on. He stopped looking at me. Stopped asking how my day was. It was like we were roommates. Strangers, even. So you found someone who saw you? Yes. And when Caleb started noticing again, she asked, her voice soft, almost sad. What then? I didn't stop. Jess didn't judge me. Didn't twist her face into some righteous expression. She just said, because it was never about the other guy, was it? I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. I don't know who I was with him anymore, I whispered. I used to feel like we were this team, this story worth telling. And then one day I woke up and realized I didn't feel like the main character in my own life. Jess exhaled. So you set it on fire? I looked at her, startled. Yeah. She nodded again. I know the feeling. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I asked, do you love him? She smiled. Not girlish. Not smug. Just real. Yes. Deeply. I felt something sharp twist in my chest. A combination of relief and devastation. You make him happy? I asked, barely above a whisper. I do, she said. But it's not easy. Loving someone with scars never is. Her eyes softened. Especially when some of the deepest ones were given to him by someone who didn't even realize they were holding the knife. I wanted to hate her. So badly. But I couldn't. Because she hadn't come here to gloat. Or to warn me off. Or even to defend him. She came here to understand the ghost she kept running into when she kissed him goodnight. Does he talk about me? Jess looked down. No. Not really. That bad, huh? No, she said quickly. Not out of anger. Out of finality. I didn't understand. She leaned forward. When he looks at photos from before, old ones with you, he doesn't get sad. He gets blank. Like that version of him died. Like it's someone else's life. A lump rose in my throat. Does that bother you? I asked. No, she said. Because I love the version of him that survived it. I thought about everything I had planned to say. The rehearsed apologies. The reasons. The defenses. None of it mattered anymore. The story was over. She didn't come to reopen wounds. She came to sew them shut. Jess stood up and placed a 20 under her mug. Before she left, she turned to me. I hope you find someone who makes you feel like the main character again. But next time, don't burn the house down just to feel the heat. I nodded. Thank you. She gave a small, sad smile. For what? For not being cruel. She blinked. There's already enough cruelty in your story. No need to add mine to it. Then she was gone. That night, I sat on my apartment floor with a bottle of wine I couldn't finish and a phone full of photos I couldn't delete. I didn't cry. Not really. I just breathed. For the first time in months, I wasn't spinning new lies or rewriting old chapters. I wasn't begging for attention or punishment. I was just sitting with it. What I did. Who I was. And who I might still get to become. Weeks passed. The whispers quieted. My friends stopped looking at me like I was a grenade. Even Maisie came back around, slowly. Caleb never reached out again. I never expected him to. I stopped checking his socials. Stopped asking mutual friends for updates. Stopped chasing closure like it was some magical fix-all. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. It comes from accepting that some mistakes can't be fixed. That sometimes, love ends quietly, not with slamming doors, but with a man walking into a coffee shop and choosing peace over vengeance. I still see him sometimes, in strangers, in memories, in the mirror when I catch myself doing something he used to tease me for. But I don't feel rage anymore. Or regret. Just recognition. That we were a story. And I was the villain in the final chapter. But the story's over now. And maybe, just maybe, I'm ready to start writing a new one. One where I finally tell the truth. Even to myself. Especially to myself.